And now coming to you live from an undisclosed location deep within the heart of American flyover country. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. I may be under the radar, but we're definitely over the top. And of course, today, no difference. We're talking about Billy Corgan, who told Howard Stern that he saw a shape-shifting reptilian and that shape-shifting reptilians run the satanic music business, the satanic music industry, to quote Corgan accurately. So we're going to talk about what Corgan saw. We're going to talk about, is he crazy or is it something that's a publicity stunt? What is it? And we'll talk about the reptilians themselves, because I see there's a lot of sympathy for the reptilians in the chat room right now, which is interesting to me. And I'd like to explore that more. Let me say from the beginning. Oh, and by the way, we'll just get right into it. I got a pretty special announcement towards the end of the show. I know nothing about Billy Corgan. I've seen him on Alex Jones. I understand he's a musician. I've never seen his singing. I don't know anything about, I guess it's Smashing Pumpkins, right? I've never heard their song, or if I have, I don't know. So I don't have any dog in the fight again, so to speak. I'm just reporting the news because, again, I'm just the mailman. But what we're hearing is that Billy Corgan, well, we'll just look at it. There's a couple of articles because I, of course, dug a little deeper than just the initial report and went into some more study on it. But Billy Corgan says that shape-shifting reptilians run the satanic music industry. He opened up about his experiences in the record industry, told Howard Stern that he has witnessed a shape-shifting humanoid in the flesh, told him that on air, and then he opened up to the production staff after the show, off the air, informing them that the record industry Illuminati is controlled, ladies and gentlemen, by non-human reptilians. Now, he knows a lot more about the music industry than I do. And the word is that Stern made a joke about it. And then Corgan became very serious. And Corgan said, not to add to the conspiracy, but I've had paranormal experiences in my life that sort of lend itself into that category. Stern encouraged Corgan to open up about the experience, and Corgan, relating his embarrassment, told Howard Stern, let's just say I was with somebody once and I saw a transformation that I cannot explain. And Howard, as he does, I've watched him a couple times, he pushed and said, you mean you saw the person transform into something other than human? And Corgan said, yeah, I saw it. I was totally sober. Imagine you're doing something and suddenly you turn around and boom, there's somebody else standing there. It's hard to explain without going into detail. And then Corgan says, I'd rather not do it. And of course, Stern kept pressing him and said, did they say they were from another planet? Corgan said, they wouldn't explain. It's a really messed up story. I'm being vague on purpose. It's up there with one of the most intense things that I've ever been through. He later explained that he's being vague on the air out of fear for his career and the well-being of his loved ones. But he did add, demons exist. They're real. They're reptilian. He correlated the Bible story of the snake with the fact that they are reptilians. And I do think David Icke, it was and is right. And it's a travesty that he's been barred from entering into Australia. But David Icke is not barred from being on this program. And I hope that he will choose to come on very soon. And describing the record industry executive who shape-shifted in front of him, it was a record industry executive. Corgan said that he can't remember the exact words the reptilian said to him, but it was something along the lines of all humans will suffer in unending agony. Now, of course, that's the way they'd want us to believe. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Corgan also related the physical effect that the encounter had on him and left him in pain for days. Everything in me shook, says Corgan. My neck, my head were rattled, my bones, my muscles, my organs. I wonder if it affected his piano, including my brain, were literally sore for days. He said, I was so mad I was ready to kick his butt. Humanity, I like this. Humanity's not taking this anymore. We're waking up. We're through with this program. In every civilization on earth, all throughout the ancient world, this is Corgan speaking, the snake men are mentioned. Although I can understand why someone wouldn't believe what I'm saying, it's hard to talk about. I don't believe either until I was standing face to face with one of them. So that's Billy Corgan on Howard Stern and talking about the aftermath of that experience. And then he talked about it another time. And I don't really like the tone of this article. This one is from Spin. And it seems to me that they have taken a word and run with it that I don't think Corgan intended it to be. So this one kind of bothers me. And their headline on spin.com is Billy Corgan won't say whether the naked shapeshifter he claims he saw was his lover. Now, I just don't like the tone of that. I think they're trying to be silly and they're trying to make him look silly. And they relate that he discussed many serious topics on the Howard Stern show, and he revisited his claim. So he's made it again. He revisited his claim that he's seen a shapeshifter, and he offered additional facts that said the shapeshifter this time was without clothing. The shapeshifter was without clothing. And Corgan saying it's even more fantastical than you think. The person was naked. He admitted after Stern pressed him that second meeting for more details. And Stern asked it was a man, and Corgan says it was a person. And then, as he's apt to do, Stern, like a cross-examiner, tried to get Corgan to talk about it and was trying to get him that it was a female that he had sex with. But Corgan says that he would tell him in confidence off the air. Of course, Stern says, are you saying it was a lover who shapeshifted? And Corgan saying, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. So that's what happens when you try to be a straight up guy, a stand up guy. They want to jump down your throat and mess with you. And there's even a picture here. I don't think I'm still sharing this and it's a very bad picture, so you can't see it anyway. Howard Stern posted on his Twitter account saying, Billy telling me the strange shapeshifter story in the corner of the studio. So he was actually there in his studio, and Corgan was telling him the story about the shapeshifter. So Corgan, not once, but twice, has discussed seeing shape-shifting reptilians, whether he had any type of relationship with the shape-shifting reptilians, I don't know. I don't think that's really a fair discussion, because I don't think there's anything that he said that necessarily would make it seem like he was having any type of a Congress with those beings. But it just makes you wonder. He said he wasn't high, and of course I'm a little bit stereotypical. He's a rock and roller. I'm thinking he's got to be on something. Says he wasn't. Okay, check that box. I don't know how Smashing Pumpkins are doing, and I'm going to make some people mad because Dan Aykroyd talks about aliens. Dan Aykroyd didn't start talking about aliens until his career was way in the tank. I'm just saying, is there a connection? Leah Remini didn't decide that she had to tell the truth about Scientology until her career was in the tank. I'm just saying. I'm stating the facts. You can draw or not draw the correlations that you wish or don't wish to draw. And I don't know how Smashing Pumpkins are doing. Is there a reason that he's bringing out this information at this time that would be financially beneficial to him? That's all I'm asking. Or has Billy Corgan, it looks like he's getting a little bit more advanced in age. He doesn't look like he's my age yet, but he's getting up there. And is Billy Corgan finally getting to the place where he's like, you know what? I've been given a good life. I've made a lot of money. I've got a certain amount of fame. Maybe it's time for me to start talking about some of these things. Hopefully, Billy Corgan really means what he was talking about at the end of that other article, that he's mad. He wants to kick the reptilians' butt, or their tails, I think would be more accurate. He's not. He says, we're not taking this anymore. We're waking up and we're through with this program. I hope that he is sincere. I really do. I hope that he really does want to kick some reptilian butt, if the reptilians are really the problem. And with that, I want to shift into the chat room, because there was some fascinating chat there. And this is the most highly developed chat room on YouTube, with a couple idiot trolls now and then, but that's okay. They make me laugh. See? So let's take a look at it, ladies and gentlemen. Did anyone hear a low-pitched humming sound last night? No, I didn't. I won't even speculate on what a low-pitched humming sound under your bed might have been. I'll just leave that one alone. Honestly, anyone else done with all the veils and lies? Ask Alice. Jennifer says, the fact that it's always shape-shifting reptilians makes me think that it might not be reptilians causing the problems. I find that a fascinating speculation. The reptilians are always getting blamed for everything. The devil always gets blamed for everything. You know, in church, we used to see a demon behind every bush. And now I think, as Tracy says later on in the chat, it's a reptilian behind every bush. And if it's the reptilians that everybody agrees are the bad ones, is it possible that the reptilians may not even be the bad ones and they might be the good ones? I've said it many times. I've taken a lot of crap for it. But I think there are at least some benevolent reptilian entities that want to work with humanity. I'm not saying they all do, but I'm saying there are some benevolent reptilian entities that want to work with humanity. Tracy did say poor reptilians are the new devil behind every bush. Bellstar, sick of the lies. Also saying that they believe there's a bloodline of non-humans that don't have a soul. I agree. Talked about that last night on The Last Stand, and we're working to get Sister Carrie back on. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it live. I think I'm going to have to do it on Skype, unless I can find out how to broadcast Skype onto my YouTube channel. I don't know, but either way, we'll get that done. I've met some of those non-soul humans, says Loretta. I know a few trans D reps, says Jennifer. Okay, now this gets interesting. Let me take a look at Jennifer's channel here. Go to channel, hit the three dots on the right, go to channel. Just seeing if Jennifer has content up there. She doesn't at this point, but anyway, I just wanted to check and see. Jennifer says she knows a few. How many is a few? Some trans-dimensional reptilians. They don't really shapeshift. They can take different forms, but it's more matching forms. It's okay to be a reptilian. She says reptilians are protecting the earth right now. Jennifer, that's very interesting. And if you could ever get one of your reptilian friends to come on the show, they have an open door here. I've interviewed a tulpa before. I've interviewed vampires. I've interviewed Satanists. I've interviewed Rex Bear. From A to Z. So very interesting, Jennifer. And I do think that at least some of them are benevolent. And the fact that they are taking all the crap now and being identified. And think about it. Islam paints the serpent as an enemy. Judaism paints the serpent as an enemy. Christianity paints the serpent as an enemy. And I've got to believe that the enemy of my enemy, and Abrahamic religion certainly is my enemy, is very often my friend. Are the reptiles our friends? Job said that he's brother to the reptile. And we are a hybrid between reptilian and mammalian forms. I think it's very, very, very interesting. Amy says it could be a publicity stunt. I don't know. He sounds pretty dedicated. He's probably stacked away a few dollars. I don't know if he needs to do it or not. I did hear him on Alex Jones. He seemed very legitimate. He does seem very legitimate to me. Alice used to love Smashing Pumpkins. David Icke has been right about many, many things. Monkey Experiment claims to have hung out with Billy Corgan, says he's a smart cookie. I have no problem believing that. He seems like a very interesting gentleman. Jennifer's back saying that she doesn't know if the people shapeshifting into reps or tall whites are faking that they're reptilians or someone else faking that they're reptilians, because she says the reptilians are actively stopping invaders to Earth. Are the reptilians actually working on our behalf? And you know, it would make sense, because all of the passing powers that be, the powers that are temporarily in power that be and are about ready to be moved out, they are almost unanimous in, when it's talked about, when it's presented in media, of the reptilians being bad. I'm trying to think of positive reptilians. There was the movie Enemy Mine, which was, you could argue, was a positive presentation of reptilians. But if everybody knows reptilians are bad, and again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Zora says she's met people. The snake was a freedom fighter. I agree, the snake was a freedom fighter. The snake was there to help. Amy and I went on to Cape Coral. A 7-hour drive took her 17 hours. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. They're trying to dirty up Billy Corgan's image, maybe. Shapeshifters have to be naked under their robes, like the Pope and Queen Elizabeth, for that kind of royalty materialization, I guess, while it lasts 5 minutes or more. Can't transfer other, let's say, 4D items. Well, that's interesting. I've never heard that before, that the Pope is naked under that robe, and that's really not something I'd like to consider. And considering Queen Elizabeth naked under a robe isn't really that great of a visual either. I don't know. Very interesting. To see any reptilian underneath, say quietly to yourself, I'm breaking the code of delusion to see what is before me. Doug Sam giving you a mantra on how to see reptilians. Well, you just need to tune into a different frequency, don't you? Curiouser and curiouser. Joyce Marie says that she may have shapeshifted when she had her first drinking experience. Now, that's interesting. And we have the requisite Christian troll, and certainly we'll have the requisite flat earth troll stop by. As long as you agree Jesus is Lord, then you'll have true peace. I can be in LA and use spiritual warfare to get the enemy away from me. Well, Andrew, that's great, but what if Jesus is working with those entities? And what if they got a little deal to make Andrew feel all warm and fuzzy while they go and get 7 more just like him? I think you should check out some of the information I have on this channel about the demons and the clergy and plastic Jesus working together. Or maybe you shouldn't check it out, because it'll rock your world. This stuff has been around for a while, especially within the music industry. It was dressed and it wasn't. That's what the man said. I'm guessing it was someone he had to be with for the music industry. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it was a social call. Had a dream recently about the reptilian statue that the elite worship. Does this relate to the fundamentalist music in their church? I don't know. That's a good question. I'd trust a shape-shifting reptile before any human. Really? Any human? That's interesting. Hecky Deck says, how can a human get shape-shifting ability? You've already got shape-shifting ability. You've just forgotten how to use it. You were created with shape-shifting ability. The new X-Files reboot Shapeshifting reptilian. Yep, they had a funny handling of it. Just like humans, says Jackie, there are good and evil in all species, including the reptilians. I would certainly agree with that. Somebody had their inheritance wiped out by a reptilian. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but wow, I guess reptilians aren't that good with money. And I really shouldn't laugh about that. I apologize, but yeah, Freeman, I agree. Corgan does seem to have his stuff together. Zora thinks one of the girls she works with is a reptile. Jennifer knows, I wonder how you know, that's a strong statement, that the Dracos, who are allegedly reptilians, are against the Podestas and against human sex trafficking. But it may be that the politicians are trying to. So who is, and here's the reveal, ladies and gentlemen. Jenny Constantine, Jenny Moonstone, and I talked about interdimensional sex trafficking the other day on the channel. So who's doing the interdimensional sex trafficking? What if it's the tall whites and all the ones everybody thinks are so good? Maybe we'll ask Jenny about that today at 5:30 Central when she's back in on this channel. She'll be on the channel tonight at 5:30 Central Time. Breaking news. Nancy Pelosi freaks out again during a speech. The Pelosi clone is malfunctioning, stutters and spasms during a border speech. Ooh, I smell a podcast. You've never witnessed a real one, says Spartan 300. That's a pretty strong statement. That's a pretty strong statement. And of course, I was making a joke, but it looks like the idea is now we get some debate in the chat room. I love it. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Can I make myself shift into a Marilyn Monroe lookalike? Nice one, Olga. You probably could if you knew how to do it. Ted Bundy-eyed girl, yeah. Ocasio-Cortez. Can witchcraft or voodoo or black magic shapeshifting to reptilians? Yeah, they can. It's reminiscent of Hillary during the election. Interesting. I like the Pelosi hug on the border video. She's a mess. I have to check that one out. Baffled King has seen his body change during a head rush. Was that because you was on some drugs, cousin? I don't know. I'm just saying. Very True Stronghold is just a collection of lies. Ted Bundy was Mormon. He was Mormon, which his fascination with the dead ties in with Mormonism. That's very interesting. Jennifer says you can make yourself shift into whatever you look like. I agree. And somebody said the reptilians really aren't good with money. It's confusing to them. I think it's more than Pelosi getting old, Carla. I think it's more than her getting old, although she is older than dirt, and it's time for her to retire. It's possible. Is it possible to be a reptilian and not know it? Asked Jamie. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. So, as always, on the Christian Whistleblower broadcast, we ask questions, we question answers, which brings up more questions. And what we want you to do is leave this place thinking and pondering. And Jennifer, who is apparently our reptilian expert, says, yes, you can be a reptilian and not know it. That's interesting. That's interesting. I know because what did Tracy say? What did Tracy say? I lost it. This thing jumps on me. I think they know because they know who else is. That's a good point, too. Is there a leader reptile? I don't know. How about Fana says the majority of old ass politicians need to retire? I think they all need to retire. Saw a great meme today that said, I'm sick and tired of old white guys running our country. Oh, yay, Bernie's running again. Yeah. Doug saw a friend of his shift into a cobra snake. Whoa. Was she naked, Doug? Natives show. I'm not sure if he has his stuff together. He's invested in the TNA wrestling. Well, just because he likes wrestling, that doesn't mean he's not. The reptilian you saw in your dreams is one from a movie. Okay. It's unfair to say they manipulate us. So the State of the Union speech, Pelosi's tongue was flipping around everywhere. Yeah, again, I take that all with a real big grain of salt. Yeah. Gary Carlson can tell you if you're reptilian or not. Well, I'm not saying Gary's not right 100% of the time. None of us are. So don't depend upon Gary. Depend upon yourself. My friend has some communication with a reptilian named Frank. Well, Frank is an interesting name for a reptilian. We're all shapeshifters. I agree. I was just saying if I was shadow banned, I'm not even know what shadow banned is, but this is what it looks like when you're just banned. There you go. Pelosi looked like she was on amphetamines. I'll have to check that out. Somebody said if you like tanning booths, you're a reptilian. Now that's interesting. That's really interesting. My friend says, yeah. Reptilians made me fantasize about Nancy Pelosi and Ocasio-Cortez. That's funny. My ex-girlfriend turned into a bag of bones after a hit of acid. I don't know if that was in your or her, man, but that's interesting. Jehovah's Witnesses stopped by after watching you. Oh, that's great. The Bunny and Donnie Darko. Jennifer loves tanning booths, especially the red light beds. Katana Haley's dated a jinn. Wow. Was the jinn Muslim? Ted Bundy said he fit in with politics parties. He did. All right, ladies and gentlemen. They're mischievous and unkind, someone says about reptilians. Katina, I don't know then. If he says he's a jinn and he wasn't Muslim, I've never heard of a jinn that wasn't Muslim. Never. So he might have been putting you on, lady. I don't know. And this just in, Jenny is in the bathtub with a homemade charcoal clay face mask on. Great. Hope that works out well for you. And with that, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. We got some discussions about jinn not having religion. Well, everyone I've ever come across is Muslim. So anyway, jinn is the new pickup line. Hey, I'm a jinn. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you will continue to guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru. I will enjoy the ice plunge that's coming up right after this show. Let's get busy. Absolutely. You're still spreading weird shit, Jeff. Good. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I think. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please ask questions. Please question answers. And there's no doubt about it. We are the last generation of real humans. It's time for us to unindoctrinate ourselves. I will not shapeshift.